G'day guys and gal. When the lore discusses the dark age of technology, it doesn't usually give us many juicy details. It just makes references to ungodly powers, like cosmic robot worms that could eat time and space, with even the most primitive and low-level dark age of technology stuff considered top tier by modern Imperial standards. When the Necrons and Imperium squared off in the Pariah Nexus, the Necrons were shocked when the Mechanicus just started throwing dark age of technology weaponry at them. It was like the biggest random bullshit go moment, with a lot of the technology just as good as the Necrons' own. So that begs the question, what were the most powerful weapons mankind had during the dark age of technology, and how many of them are still around today? Before we get started, it's Friday, motherfucker. Best day of the week because A, now I can start the bender, and B, major mini launch. This week we're launching not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, but 6 new models as I introduce the Guardians of Oblivion. The first product is a 5-man squad of Oblivion Guard, an awesome blend of Trooper and Knight. If I called these guys the Imperial Guard, I'd actually get spit roast sued by 2 companies, which is a first for me, so Oblivion Guard it is. Then there is the space hero of Kavach, a knightly warrior who is girthed up and ready to fuck. Honestly, I don't expect these to sell that much, I just really love ES4. That game was my childhood, so I wanted to pay some homage to it. Today is also your last chance to pick up the Iron Morlock before it goes offline after this weekend. This model was created in collaboration with the Remembrancer, a beloved lore YouTuber who got screwed out of thousands of dollars by YouTube. 50% of the profit of this model goes to him to help him recoup his costs and hopefully exceed it. The model has done incredibly well so far, you guys have been awesome. Now's your last chance to get the model and support the cause. And you know what, fuck it. Whoever places the largest order between now and Monday will get 4 pre-painted major minis for free, including a Ra, Kitten, Narek, and Xenonid Warrior. They'll get thrown in no extra charge, so if you ever wanted to place a fuck-off major mini order, now is the time. You could get like another $600 worth of minis. Link is below. Today we'll go over the most powerful weapons from the dark age of technology, as well as what we know about them and if they still exist in the current setting. Let's get into it. Now, to define what can be considered most powerful, there's more than one metric. If you have a bomb that blows up a solar system, but there is only one of them in existence, but you also have 1 trillion bullets that when you shoot someone with it, somewhere in the galaxy an abortion occurs, which weapon is actually more powerful and has the most impact? Food for thought. With that in mind, let's start at the low-hanging fruit, the Men of Iron. When humanity rose to their peak, they clearly didn't watch enough sci-fi movies, as they happily built extremely advanced AIs and gave them all the weapons and power they could ever need. The Men of Iron were a race of robotic sentient tools and weapons that did all of humanity's bidding, from fighting their wars, doing their menial work, and so on. For reasons that aren't entirely clear, the Men of Iron rose up against their human overlords, and the war tore mankind's empire apart. A single Man of Iron was dangerous, but not too bad. They sometimes find and kill them in the modern setting. However, trillions of them is another issue. This war against the Men of Iron was so devastating, it basically knocked mankind back into the Stone Age in most cases. I mean, that is a bit of an exaggeration. It basically just Mad Maxed the fuck out of everything. Yes, it also didn't help that Slaanesh was being murder-fucked into existence at the same time, but the main issue was the Men of Iron. Now, it's hard to specify exactly what they seemed like as a weapon, as each Man of Iron could have a different form, some being the size of starships, others being the size of tanks, and most being rank-and-file human-sized troops. However, their processing capacity was obscenely powerful. The times we have seen them interact with the modern-day tech priests, they almost always outclass them. There was still a decent few around during the Great Crusade. The Dark Angels used enslaved Men of Iron as weapons, especially against spicy foes. A few of them were on Mars, and a few others were scattered around. However, the vast majority of these have been destroyed over time. It seems like UR-025 is the only Man of Iron we know about that's still kicking in the current setting, and that dude just wants to go on adventures and be left alone, which, yep, fair enough. Now, there is a distinction I have to make between 2 tiers of Dark Age weaponry. There is STC weaponry, as well as aerotech weaponry. I'm definitely fucking that pronunciation up. STCs were basically blueprints for mass production. Much of what the Imperium fields on the battlefield were made using rediscovered STCs, which means a lot of these weapons were made and used during the Dark Age of technology. For example, the Predator tank, an elite Space Marine tank, was established to be the standard tank of choice for Dark Age of technology human armies. So basically everything has been knocked down a peg. Predators were once the stock standard tank, now they are the elite tank. Likewise, bolters were the go-to standard gun, now they are only for elite guardsmen and Space Marines. So it wasn't like Dark Age of technology humans were godlike compared to the current setting, they were just a tier above. However, then there is the aerotech. These are the one-of-one weapons created by mad scientists during the Dark Age of technology, not mass-produced, and this is the shit that seems more like magic than science to the modern Imperium. For example, Arkham Land had an aerotech pistol that would one-shot anything, including Space Marines, no matter where it hit them. Even a glancing blow would disintegrate their entire body, armor and all. So whilst there may be some STC weapons on this list today, the really juicy ones I'll mostly be covering are aerotech aerotech weapons. With that said, this next one is an STC weapon and it is horrifying. Phosphex, a mix between napalm and raw hatred. Phosphex is an extremely harsh chemical fire that cannot be put out with conventional means and seems to possess some kind of hateful sentience, as it will creep towards people rather than just randomly burning. It releases an intense heat as well as a chemical aroma that would suffocate or burn you to death long before the fires reach you. What made this weapon so deadly was just how common it was. All the legions carried around Phosphex ordnance, with many space marines carrying around Phosphex grenades. You could actually exterminatus a world if you dumped enough Phosphex on it, as it would keep burning and it would consume the world's oxygen and poison its air. Phosphex was so hateful and controversial that the STC to make it ended up getting destroyed by a tech priest, who was then punished by getting burnt alive by Phosphex. Womp womp. As such, there is very little Phosphex in the current setting, and no one knows how to make more, which is a huge fucking problem, since Phosphex would literally just delete the Tyranid problem from the galaxy without too much drama. This next one is pretty hectic, and we don't know a crazy amount about it, but that just adds more to the fun. Robotic space worms that could eat time in space. Yes, that was a thing. They were called the Mechanivores, and they were ridiculous. When you eat time in space, you aren't just eating matter and destroying it, you are undoing it. If a Mechanivore ate someone, that person would be removed from the timeline, as if they never existed. The Mechanivores would burrow into worlds, eating through to planet cores or eating cities and civilizations. The grim part is that the data that was removed from the timeline would remain within the Mechanivore, so when humanity fought and destroyed them, they also had to destroy the data that was stored, part of their literal history. Imagine your wife was eaten by a Mechanivore and her very existence was now within it and could be retrieved. How heartbroken you would be to have to instead destroy it, ensuring the love of your life is not only dead, but never existed to begin with. That would fucking suck ass. Other fucking ridiculous weapons in a similar leagues to the Mechanivores were the Sun Snuffers, literally just gigantic machines that killed stars, as well as the Omniphage Swarms, which were self-replicating nanobots that would scare an entire planet's surface clean. Basically a virus bomb on steroids. An absolutely ridiculously insane weapon created during the dark age of technology was the Tabula Myriad. This was a robot whose sole purpose was to destroy chaos. However, it did so in an extremely ruthless way. Basically, it would arrive on a planet with life on it, analyze the life, and if there was more than a 0% chance that the planet would eventually fall to chaos, it would genocide it. Now the issue is that there is pretty much always an above 0% chance the planet would at some point have a chaos issue, even if it was thousands of years into the future. So you can see how the Tabulum was problematic, kind of like the Emperor's Angel of Destruction. It would take over the planet's machinery, self-replicate, and then create an army and then kill the world before moving on. It could predict events with like 99% accuracy due to its insane calculation power, so it could more or less see the future. It did this to countless civilizations until eventually it went up against the one foe it could not overcome, Ferris the Manus. Manus bitch-slapped the Tabulum and handed it over to the Mechanicum, who locked it away in stasis. It actually wanted to destroy Mars as it sensed that the planet would soon fall to chaos, which was a good prediction, but it was imprisoned instead. During the heresy, the Imperium wanted to take Mars off the playing field as it was a huge problem and they were spending a lot of resources blockading it. However, they also knew they couldn't just blow it up, otherwise the loyalist Mechanicum would turn on them, so they sent an agent to free the Tabulum and let it do its thing. And boy did it do its thing. It converted a robot army to its cause and then attempted to destroy the weather station that was keeping Mars's atmosphere breathable. If it was destroyed, all the Dark Mechanicum would have to stay underground or expend resources staying above ground, whilst no sacred machinery would break. A win-win. However, the Dark Mechanicum was too strong and the Tabulum was destroyed. But it survived. It uploaded its data to one of its robots and then that robot escaped the battle, before then leading a rebellion. To put it into context, the Tabulum's code was so pure that whenever a Chaos construct tried to corrupt it, it would block the scrap code and then upload its own pure code to the construct and literally heal it, removing the Chaos from it. It managed to do it to a Titan. A full-on Chaos Titan was purged in moments and then was completely ready for loyalist pilots to take over it immediately. I believe we will see the Tabulum one more time in the next Scouring book. Did you know that there is actually a tier of Titan above that of an Imperator, the Castigator Titan class, and it was the Titan of choice during the Dark Age. The Castigators ran on super AI and had none of the drawbacks of normal Titans. They were fast, agile, and could think and react extremely quickly, unlike modern Titans, whose princeps are having fucking aneurysms half the time when they control them. One was discovered in the current setting by the Grey Knights, who found out it was actually corrupted by chaos and they managed to destroy it. But it is nuts to think that there was a tier above the Imperators, who themselves are often considered walking metal gods. Then there was the Void Claw, which I'll try to explain because it's pretty fucking wild. Basically, it was this massive cannon that could fire this beam of energy that would rip open time and space, but not in like a warp portal way, just in like a, okay cool, now there's a scary hole in reality. As it just ripped through reality, it would go through any shield and armor. Abaddon got his hands on it and fired it into space, which then created a mini singularity black hole thingo, which now hangs in space like a big scary forbidden butthole. Thank you Abaddon, very cool. Mankind during the Dark Age had seemingly cracked time travel, as they had chrono weapons that could send you back in time. They also had weapons that could destroy time, time, and in one instance, they managed to send a ship thousands of years into the future. Now, time by itself is not a weapon, however, it can be weaponized to cause an absolute ruckus. The galaxy still has scars from the abuse it suffered during the Men of Iron uprising as a result of all the chrono weapons being used. With all of this in mind, was humanity the masters of the galaxy during the Dark Age of technology? Surprisingly not. It's stated that pre-Fall Elder actually managed to defeat humanity at its peak, which seemed to resolve into some kind of truce as the Elder's empire remained mostly concentrated around what is now known as the Eye of Terror, whilst humanity was more spread out. It's heavily theorized that the Elder helped humanity defeat the Men of Iron. If the Elder never fell, modern day humanity would be cooked. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then pick up the Guardians of Oblivion, the Iron Morlock, or any other major mini. Remember, highest value purchase gets 4 pre-painted major minis thrown in for free. Join the Discord for more memes and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.